Hello everyone, thank you for coming today. We want to just welcome you to the launch of York Fresh Food Farms Mobile Produce Market. Today, Bruce Manns, York Fresh Food Farm Farm Manager, is going to speak to you first.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you all for coming. This is a special day for me particularly. Going back in roughly around 2012, I was managing the Broad Street Community Gardens at Northeast Neighborhood and meeting some people through the York Food Alliance. I said, really, York needs to go to the next level. We need to have an urban farm. There are urban farms in many major cities across the United States. I had visited a number of them in Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, Allentown, et cetera, et cetera. And we have a lot of redevelopment taking place in the city, Center City, and the greening is a big movement, but this is like a level above that where we are using commercial methods to grow large quantities of food. For an example, last year we grew over 14 tons by volume of vegetables, and we're looking to do more than that this year. But the question is how do you reach the people? Well, that's the tool. Years ago, I by means of Florida, where I was born, through Baltimore, I used to spend a great amount of time when I was very young with my grandmother and in Baltimore City, and I grew up a lot of my life there. There was the pony and cart that would come in on Saturday morning, and it would be their version of a truck farmer. The horse would draw it in. The vegetables would be there. They do the sing-song auctioneering thing, melons, all kinds of vegetables, and they would be sold. The modern day way of reaching the people here in York is by the bus, and we have stops Monday through Saturday at various locations which are listed on our site, and we will have flyers to distribute. There's a three-point thing that I like to focus on our business model. Is that number one, we're professional with Eric Negron, which I don't know where he's at right now. Here's Eric. Eric, vis-a-vis Price Right, is our marketing manager, and he's a produce manager. He preps. What you see behind me looks like what you have out of a food market. We are predictable. The stops that we list, we will be there. We will be there on the time we say we're going to be there. And the third part, which even behind there, is affordable. We're below the marketplace. Our goal is to reach people with healthy, fresh, organically grown vegetables here. And it's as local as you can get it, is grown in York City. We're right there. We're there at 150 Willis Road, right off in the Parkway Homes, and at 1195 the Fireside Community, which used to be the old state police headquarters, which many of you took your driver's test there. We're in the field behind there. It used to be a ball field. Well, it's not a ball field anymore. It's about 2 acres of vegetables growing. And they're becoming ready. They'll be distributed. I can answer questions later on what vegetables we're growing. We're growing a great many of them. So also at this time, specifically for the mobile produce market, I'd like to mention several people that have groups that have contributed specifically to this. Many other groups contributed to our overall operation, but the York County Community Foundation with the Anderson Fund contributed to it. The Ann and Philip Greifelder Family Funds contributed specifically to the mobile produce market. The PNC Charitable Trust and Frank and Sue Dittenhafer and Sue Ann Klein with the graphics and design and support. I really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to meeting a lot of you at the stops. There's great things happening for York. The future is more, and we're reaching out to the neighborhoods. In addition to that, I might mention that we will be doing surveys at our markets. We're always looking for improvement, so we're asking questions of what the people want. Thank you very much. I'd like to introduce Mayor Michael Helfrich.
Good morning, everybody. I wish we had smell-o-vision right now. If you could smell this basil. I had to bring it up here as my guest star. As you all know, bringing more focus on the neighborhoods is a pillar of my administration, and it has been my promise to you as mayor to improve the quality of life for all of our residents. For that reason, I'm very excited for York Fresh Farms and to launch their mobile produce market here in York City and I want to thank Rabbit Transit for providing this important central location. I have heard from my fellow neighbors about the difficulties in accessing affordable, healthy food for themselves and their families, and this issue is further complicated for those that don't have their own cars, like 45% of the folks that live over in my neighborhood on the West End. The convenience of the mobile produce market at the downtown bus transfer station, as well as other locations throughout the city, will make it much easier for residents to access fresh produce and make healthier food choices. Not only is York Fresh Food Farms dedicated to serving the needs of York City residents, but their urban farm operations are located, as Bruce said, here in York City, just blocks away. York City grown produce is as close to local as we can get. I love that we have community-driven efforts to bring agriculture back into the city and into the lives of our families and especially our children. I also appreciate that York Fresh Food Farms embraces the ethnic diversity of our city, aiming to provide produce that reflects the culture of our residents and communities, as well as employing a Spanish-speaking city resident to support that mission. I believe the mobile produce market will change the daily lives of those living in our community, and for that reason I am thankful for York Fresh Food Farms and of the partners that have helped along the way. I'm also proud that our City Health Bureau has been able to provide support and assistance to this organization. And the efforts of York Fresh Food Farms to improve the health and well-being of York City residents. Thank you all for coming out today, and I hope that your summer is a healthy one. Now may I introduce Craig Walt of our City of York Bureau of Health. Do you want the basil to join you?
Yeah. Yes, please. Good morning. My name is Craig Walt, and I'm the Community Health Services with the City of York Bureau of Health. And I just want to thank everyone again for joining us this morning to celebrate the launch of the mobile produce market. This is an exciting day for me. I recall a few years ago when I started with the Health Bureau, and I met Bruce and Meta, and we talked about their plans for creating an urban farm and to eventually have a produce market on wheels rolling around the city streets. I immediately knew that this project could be a game changer for both urban agriculture and healthy food access in York City. I also knew that Bruce and Meta were serious by how the idea quickly turned into a plan and into action. We also recognized the need for such an initiative as evidenced by various health and food access measures. For example, in attending the recent health summit hosted by the Healthy York County Coalition just last week, I heard yet again about the high rates of obesity and poor outcomes throughout York County and the associated factors that lead to these conditions. The most recent findings from the Community Health Needs Assessment include that 72% of York County adults are overweight or obese, and only 3% of those surveyed consumed 3 servings of vegetables daily. We also heard from the keynote speaker, who's from the National Collaborative for Health Equity, about how large disparities can exist when it comes to things such as access to healthy foods among minorities and lower income neighborhoods. Therefore, improving the food landscape in our communities and introducing more convenient, healthy food options is a key strategy to addressing this issue and improving community health. While York City is home to 2 amazing historic farmers markets and has various community garden initiatives growing throughout the city, the need for more healthy food sources is evident. According to the USDA, 11 of the 16 census tracts in York City are identified as food deserts. Many struggle with making it to a full-scale grocery store on a regular basis, or at least often enough to maintain fresh produce in their households. Some may also not have access to their own car and utilize public transportation, which is also why this partnership with York Fresh Food Farms and Rabbit Transit just makes so much sense. Some also may have hectic schedules that get in the way of routinely visiting a local farmer's market, and others may just have unhealthy eating habits that are related to the convenience of fast food, snack foods, and just eating habits that have been developed over time. These reasons are why York Fresh Food Farms' mobile produce market is such a crucial step in improving access to fresh produce for York City residents. The City Health Bureau is thankful for our ability to work with the Pennsylvania Department of Health to provide funding to York Fresh Food Farms through the Preventive Health and Health Services Block Grant. And we're also grateful to have York Fresh Food Farms as a community partner, as their efforts align with our mission to improve the health and well-being of York City residents. Thanks again to everyone who came out today to support the launch of the mobile produce market and for the opportunity to share a few words about how important this is for the City of York. So with that, I'd like to introduce Joanne Ward-Cottrell from WellSpan Health and the York County Food Alliance. Thank you very much.
Good morning. It sounds like all three of us have taken a little stroll down memory lane, and I'd like to do so as well. And also kind of from the perspective of the York County Food Alliance, specifically the group that I chair, the Healthy Food Access Group, talk a little bit about the great collaboration and some of the kudos that have led us in this direction. I'm often asked, what does the Alliance do and what does our group, the Healthy Food Access, what we're all about, and really it's connecting dots. That could be my job title. So there's a lot of connecting the dots that goes into this kind of work, and I must say York County excels at collaboration. I'm very proud of the work that we see all around us. The people that are interested in food access are very passionate in York County, as you can tell from the discussion so far, and have made great strides. So just to point out a few things, I want to really and thank Meta and Bruce. When the Alliance formed, Bruce is going all the way back to 2012. The Alliance formed, and Bruce was part of that stakeholders group that helped form the York County Food Alliance. One of the suggestions beyond starting this alliance and pulling people together to eliminate duplication and really collaborate and move things forward was to pursue the feasibility of an urban farm in the city of York. Meta and Bruce took that on. They began moving with that project. And about a year later, I'm going to go back to the 2015 Healthy York County Coalition Summit, when at that time during the meeting, a film was shown about a market, a mobile market in a city, I can't recall where, but how phenomenal that effort was, and it really increased people's consumption of fruits and vegetables. The group was all abuzz. Roundtable discussions at that meeting and meetings that followed for the Healthy York County Coalition always mentioned, but that mobile market, how do we achieve that mobile market in the city of York? And elevated to that idea to one of the tactics in addressing obesity throughout the county, and specifically looking at obesity in the city of York and increasing fruit and vegetable consumption. It became very obvious to the Alliance, to Meta and Bruce, that this little urban farm project needed to take wings. It couldn't just be a project of the Alliance, and the York Fresh Food Farms was born. And its own entity. So we're very pleased with that growth. Beyond, and obviously, as we've already mentioned, the City Bureau of Health was instrumental in doing that. Instrumental in helping things grow, understanding and appreciating the vision. Craig especially understood that it's not just about access, but changing the culture. We know across the country that having an urban farm can help change the culture. People see where their food's grown from. They can volunteer on the farm, and just that interaction helps to change the vibe and helps to change people's perceptions and preferences for fruits and vegetables. Kudos to Rapid Transit. Obviously, you understand the collaboration here. Beyond the collaboration of just the bus and this site and this wonderful opportunity for people to access fruits and vegetables, they've really made a commitment to food access. They're a regular member of my group, and very clearly understand the need for access. Food access is one of their priorities. So it's not just this project. They're in it. They're in it, and they're very committed to food access. And kudos for that. And they understand it's not just food access. They're looking at social equity. They're looking at social equity and the need for people, all people, everybody, having access to fresh fruits and vegetables. So we're really excited about Rapid Transit and their new collaboration with us. One of the things that we've not talked about is that York Fresh Food Farms is also very much a collaborator with Community Progress Council WIC program. And the collaboration is to address one of the goals of the governor's food blueprint for Hunger-Free PA. You may not, for those of you, many of you are familiar with Farmers Market Nutrition Program. WIC recipients receive vouchers. Across our Commonwealth, though, only about 50% of those vouchers are redeemed. There's been a lot of chatter within the last year, a lot of collaboration between our friends at Community Progress Council and York Fresh Food Farms about how to make sure that not only are there stops throughout the city, but that they're accepting those vouchers. And Bruce, with all the food that was grown last year, because you have to prove to the state that your farm can produce enough to be able to be a part of that program. And Bruce hit the mark last year for sure. So this year, one of the great strides is that not only is the farmers market stops throughout the city, but they will accept SNAP, and they'll accept those farm and market nutrition programs, not just from the WIC recipients, but also for the seniors. One of the other aspects of increasing those redemption, and by the way, across the state it's only about 50%. And what we're looking at in the county is that last year there was a great increase in the vouchers distributed, but only about half of those were redeemed. So instead of the farmers getting $43,000, that could have been about doubled if they had all been redeemed. And just a little increase to the farmers here in the city, we're talking about really helping the economy. So when we look at what's going on, here today and look big picture at the Alliance, we're talking about improving health, we're talking about improving social equity, and we're talking about helping to boost the local economy. All principles of a healthy food system, and today we celebrate one more step in building that healthy food system right here in the city of York. So thank you for the invitation to be here, and congratulations.
Good morning. My name is Rabbit Transit. Why, yes, it is. My name is Jenna Reedy, and I'm with Rabbit Transit.
That's close.
Absolutely, I am Rabbit Transit. And this morning, I'm happy to say that we are thrilled to continue our partnership with York Fresh Food Farms, York City's first urban farm. And our partnership actually began last year. It was late in the season, and it was an incredible experience to watch our riders greeted with bright tomatoes and okra. There was purple and white eggplants, and I didn't even know there was a white eggplant. So it was incredible to see the organic crops, and as people alighted from buses or waited for their connections. Overcoming food deserts, which we've talked about, places where there's a lack of fresh fruits and vegetables, is critical to the long-term well-being of our community. And the mobile produce market being hosted here at our transit property, it gives residents direct access to healthy foods. We understand that transportation is a social determinant of health. How we provide access to it is important. By considering the physical space around us and using it to reduce time to get to necessities, influences how we live out our lives. If we can buy nutritious produce in the path of where we work and live, we can generate even more positive impact on health outcomes for our community. Rabbit Transit is honored and privileged to be a part of this process. Thank you.
If there are any questions about the urban farm or any particulars, I'll be glad to answer them if I can. If I can't, I'll answer them later. Thank you. Any questions? I also want to take a moment to recognize, we talk about employment and process. Our two seasonal workers or team members is Eric Negron, and I also have Michael Boyd from Shadowfax. Michael, raise your hand. Michael works in the fields along with Craig Zumbrum, and the thing about agriculture is you start early in the morning when you're working on, we're using black plastic and drip irrigation, and it's like by the afternoon it's like working on a tennis court. It's very, very hot, and you basically stop. It's a siesta break, and of course I also have another location at my own home. I live on a dairy farm that we also grow some additional things like your potatoes and other things for that. But and that's also supported directly. My personal project is Northeast Neighborhood. So thank you very, very much. Michael, go ahead. Come on over. Speak into the mic. You don't have to be too
Okay.
loud.
I would just like to say that I'm just glad to be working for Fresh Food Farms, and I have a wonderful boss like Bruce. Without Bruce, I would not have had this job. Thank you very much.
We're looking forward to meeting you on our various stops. Again, we're going to be having surveys. We're going to be having some we'll call it taste testing there on the stops. And again, any questions, any suggestions, please share with us. Thank you very much for your time.